Okay. 24 hours later. Sorry, I look like a hot mess. I look rough. This past weekend, well, since Thursday, has been a little rough. Between work, cat sitting, and watching my nephews have been a challenge. So, here's are my feelings about my weekend. Just kick me, please. Um, but let's talk NASCAR. Um, we were in Vegas this past weekend. Triple header. Of course, rain was always, it has been the factor the last 2 weeks with Daytona and delays and stuff like that. The Xfinity Series was only. Oh, what is my bra doing here? Sorry. It's like this particular sports bra just it shifts all the damn time. Anyway, well, the truck series was slightly delayed because of the rain. But was it? I don't remember. My all my days are blending together. Again, forgive me, I look like a hot mess. Um, truck race, I waste of my like 2 hours of my life, as we all know why. Like people are gripe like what I don't get is only the cup drivers and like people within like the sport like approve of Kyle Busch running in the truck series because he's a team owner. But I'm sorry, but not all team owners run their equipment. Not all of them do. Um, Even when like Brad Keselowski was running in the truck series, like his own team, you didn't ever see him run, like ever. He always had his drivers run, and and like for example in the Xfinity series, Junior, like Dale Junior has his own team with his sister and Mr. Hendrick. Um, you don't see Dale run a crap load of races in his own equipment. He does like one-off races and that's it. And normally he doesn't dominate like because he doesn't bring down a crew team and because like my thing is yes he's a team owner. One race is fine, but 4 or 5 is excessive, especially when all the ones he ran last year, he won all of them. Which, and people were like, oh, he like his drivers are gonna learn so much from him and this and that. And I'm like, what are they learning from watching him 7 seconds in the lead in the final stage? Like, what are they gonna learn? That he has more horsepower under his fucking hood? That he has a his entire cup crew team in the pits, massive amounts of money, more than anyone else in the damn field. Not a lot of the drivers are teenagers though, but I'm like, my point is, majority of that damn field are teenagers or people who are like 20, 21 years old, like early 20s, with a little inexperience, little to no experience in the truck series. Like I get you have to beat the best to be the best, but my theory is if you have a cup championship, 1 or 2 cup championships, you should not be running in the lower series. People are like, well, then they should just ban cup drivers altogether and this and that. I'm like, well, because that's not realistic, first off. And two, um, they bring funding, like sponsorship and stuff like that, to the series they're like coming into for the teams they run for. Like Penske and Junior Motorsports and JGR, um, RCR, and whatever. So I feel like put drivers like semi-seasoned, like I won't say seasoned, but like semi, um, I guess seasoned veterans. Well, I just say veterans because they've been in the Cup Series for more than a few years. Like Kyle Larson, Blaney, Chase, all these young drivers who can actually teach what they know in the Cup Series to these young drivers in this, or just series regulars in general. Because one, none of these drivers I mentioned have a Cup championship yet, but they have the experience now to like show like these young drivers and mentor them and this and that. Um, Even like Onoa, after he won his race, he was on Junior's podcast, and talking about like he's learned so much from like the people that work around him who are used to be drivers but now just work as a like support team with him, like fitness wise and health wise, whatever. And but mentioned that Kyle Busch, he didn't really show you much of anything to learn off and base on your like tell you how to get better and this and that, because he never did that, because he's all about me and running his own shit. um, that's why I don't like um, Kyle Busch in this damn series, because one, he always brings his Cup crew to every truck race, Xfinity race, and what sucks, I'm gonna be at the Phoenix Xfinity race, and guess who's running? Guess who's gonna fall asleep during that race? Like, what's the damn point? He's just doing it because he wants to boost his ego and wants to be claimed as the best driver ever when he's not. He, I'm not saying he's a bad driver. I'm not saying, I'm like not hating on him for his drivability, his talent, whatever. I am just irritated by the way he goes about handling his business when it comes to racing. And in other series, like he ran a super late model race. Hold on. Sadly. Sorry, instead of like restarting this whole video, but I got a fruit smoothie. So, but as I was saying, my thing is with Kyle Busch, his attitude sucks. He claims he's like the best when he's not. But someone asked him like, "Who's the best driver on the track right now?" He's like, "Oh, it's me." You're looking at him. I'm like, dude, shut up. And then with all this whole truck series thing, some people are like, it's so impressive that he did all that and this like and dominated. I'm like, it's really not when you're in the minor leagues running against a majority of teenagers. Yes, there's a small handful of like older drivers in the truck series, like Kraft and Sauter, Friesen and Grant Enfinger and whatnot. But majority of that series are teenagers or like young kids or young adults, whatever you want to call them, to try and learn and get their like first wins or like compete at a high level with some of the seasoned veterans of that series. Like, I don't mind Cup drivers coming in here and there, but 4 races is a little excessive for one driver. And now there's like stupid, like among all drivers are like, now there's a bounty out to whoever can beat Kyle Busch in the truck series. Like 50,000 or 100, I don't even fucking know. It's really stupid. Kevin Harvick started all this crap. It's like, think about the employees that he's just, I'm like, you mean his entire Cup crew? Yeah, they're not getting funded by him. They're getting funded by JGR. um, so my theory is Kyle Busch. Like I read um, in an email. Hold on. This like this, like anyone like read those, um, like Weekly Race Magazine pole position, whatever. It says two easy drivers and sponsors post $100,000 bounty for anyone who can beat Kyle Busch in trucks. And it says time for Kyle Busch to stop truck racing. Wait, crap, hold on. I want to read this. Okay, I want to read this to you. It's time for Kyle Busch to stop truck racing. Enough is enough. With his victory on Friday at Las Vegas, Kyle Busch has now won the last 7 truck races he has entered. The scariest part is that Busch is scheduled to run 4 more truck races this season. Never mind, is already the series all-time wins leader with 57 victories, or that he's 2-time and reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion. NASCAR made strides in research to limit Cup drivers' participation in its lower series, but its time has clearly come to do more. No. You eliminated the Cup Series drivers enough already. They only can drive like maybe 4 or 5 races, but that's for drivers who like have 5 like at least 5 or more years of experience in the Cup Series, or 5 or less, I don't remember. But taking Cup Series out of like the whole Xfinity Series altogether is not a good idea, because you'd lose the series altogether, because these young drivers don't know how to bring in the sponsorship, and the veterans that are in the Cup Series and whatnot, they have the sponsorship to bring over, fund series, and that's how we get to watch what we can watch. So, moving on, Xfinity Series was delayed. Like it started, then stopped, and then got postponed until Sunday. So it was a double header for the Cup Series and then Xfinity Series right after. So let me skip over the Cup race real quick and talk about Xfinity. Like, there's no like clear favorite in this series anymore, because like you know the big 3 have Custer, Bell, and Reddick all went to the Cup Series, are now rookies in the Cup Series. So it's like, who's gonna stand out next? We got all these incredible young drivers. We got Noah Gragson. We have Chase Briscoe. We have I'm trying to think, my head hurts. Riley Herbst, Harrison Burton. It's Brandon Jones. Like, there's like such a handful of young crop of drivers that makes me excited about this feature of this damn sport. So everyone got super competitive. Last 2 weeks, best racing I've seen in a long time in the Xfinity Series. Daytona was incredible. Of course, Noah won. Someone was griping about his celebration last week after Daytona. Like, he needs to show more class and not look like a fool and this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but are you a 21-year-old driver but trying to bust his ass, trying to be one of the best drivers in the business, like, and learning and growing and maturing as a driver, who just won on the biggest stage of them all at Daytona in the very first race of the season, locked himself into the playoffs, very first damn win of the series. Like, he's won in like every single thing he has driven, except like his rookie season he didn't win it all, but he came close several times. Like as a driver, he has matured so much. Xfinity Series was a true test for him, and I feel like he's gonna absolutely dominate this year. Junior Motorsports the last 2 weeks have showed how strong they are. Vegas was hit and miss. They would show like their hand early in the run, and then they fall. Like Allgaier showed his hand like early in the run, his runs, and then he would just fall off like handful of spots. Noah was just like hit and miss. He had a penalty at one point. I think it was a speeding penalty, but he came back to get a top 5 finish. And does anyone know what happened between him and Myatt Snider? Because he just flat out dumped Myatt Snider near the end of that race. Like, he just hooked him. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Even all his fans are like, what are you doing? But anyway, he still got a top 5 finish. Like, so, first 2 races for that team have been really, really good. I'm excited to see him race in a week and a half. Because I'm going to Phoenix. I'm so excited. But anyway, but it just showed that this track is like really made for the Fords, but Chevy also showed their hand that they can really compete as well. So, I got hair all over the place. But Ford swept the weekend, really. Who won the truck race? Oh, yeah, Toyota. But Xfinity and Cub, Ford won. But at least one of the Ford drivers I actually tolerate and like, because he's a pretty damn good driver. He does not annoy the crap out of me. Chase Briscoe won. He was pretty dominant in the entire race. Cindric showed his hand. I do not like Cindric whatsoever. We all know that. I dislike majority of the Penske drivers, including him, minus Blaney, because I like Blaney. But Blaney has me questioning his driving skills lately. Daytona, he was a little squirrely and almost caused like a few wrecks. This week, pretty much the same thing. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But I'm going to talk about the Cup Series. Okay. So it was the big question of topic is the Chevy Camaros. Like, they got a new like version of the Chevy, like the 1L. I don't even know what it is. But the Camaro, like it's more about the downforce and stuff like that for this package. So the true test was this week. Like, even the announcers, like experts say this is like the true test and like the official start to the season for these Chevy drivers, because it's my pet's falling apart. Anyway, squirrel. Sorry. Said that this is a true test for the Chevys because, well, like the last couple of years they kind of struggled on 1.5-mile tracks, but 2018 Chase won on a 1.5-mile track at Kansas. And he showed a lot of speed there, but he didn't like dominate. But he showed speed at that track and won it, only because but in a factor that Harvick had an issue. But holy cow, did the Chevy show up this past weekend? Like, the whole Hendrick camp fired off with major speed in practice and the race. They spent like almost the entire day in the top 10 or the top 5. But holy cow, I'm going to say this now. This is the best car on a 1.5-mile track that Chase has ever had, regardless of the outcome and like the shitty luck that he gets at the beginning of the season. That part annoys shit at me because we can't fire off with good finishes at the beginning of the season for some reason. I don't understand why. But regardless, positives only. I'm going to talk about positives only. Minus the tire issue, the valve stem issue. He fired off on all cylinders that day. He was making moves like no one's with. He was passing on the outside, the inside. Um, sorry. TMI, I've been very gassy lately, but Chase, he had the best car all day long up until his incident, but all day long, he was the best car on speed, long run speed, and like no matter where he restarted, he always found his way to the front. He passed Harvick a couple times, and Truex and stuff. Like he could pass anyone. Like it was that race was incredible though. Shitty ending with a crappy winner, but um, many like that whole race kept me on the edge of my seat. I did not expect that many like passes for the lead, and but the restarts were insane. 3, 4, even maybe sometimes 5 wide at Vegas. Even when I went to that track a couple times, I didn't see that kind of racing. Like they were like all notched and close together. There was no like clear like overwhelming lead. It was like maybe the long like furthest lead. It was like a second and a half to 2, but it would be close. Like after a pit stop, Chase was like behind Truex like 3 seconds, but closed up and passed him in a handful of laps because that's how strong his car was all day long. Truex eventually had his issues. If he didn't have any issues and we didn't have any issues, we would have been battling for the win, which reminds me of Watkins Glen, the last 2 years. So, but the Fords clearly took over, like, has taken over this track, the stranglehold on this track. But Hendrick, I want to go back to Hendrick. Hendrick as a whole performed phenomenally up until like the last like handful of laps where shit started happening and Ford started being stupid. Penske as a whole have like super reckless drivers. I'm not trying to bitch about Blaney here, but he got like, him and Chase had an incredible battle for quite a handful of laps, like throughout that race. And remind you, these guys are best friends off the track, but they're super competitive on track. Chase and him just had a freaking battle for the lead, and it was insanely good. I was like, yes, but there was like one point he's like almost got wrecked. I'm like, oh no. And then Logano, he just tries to wreck everybody because he's an idiot, an asshole. No one likes him. Brad Keselowski was getting into everyone too, so the entire Penske team was trying to wreck everybody. Fords in general were like beating up on everybody, like hitting them and beating them, and I'm like, okay, this needs to stop. So, like at the very end, Bowman was charging hard at Blaney. It was like 12 laps to go, and Bowman's just right there. Like 8 laps to go, caution comes out. I'm like, there was no need for that caution. If anyone else agrees, there was no need for that caution. It was just a spin. There was not like a wreck. It was just a spin, literally, by the 6. And if it was anyone else that was like leading, like Busch or anyone else, they wouldn't have thrown that caution. But if any of the young drivers, they throw the caution immediately. If that had stayed green to the very end, Bowman would have been battling right there, neck and neck with Blaney for the win. But since that caution came out, Byron was right there too. But my question is, why did anyone decide to pit with 4 laps to go? That's my question. But it's a risk, and people are bitching about it. But I'm like, it's just part of racing. If you don't take risks, you don't. I should say, don't race at all if you're not going to take risks. But so Bowman didn't get the finish he deserved, and Byron got screwed because like he was holding his lane, like he had not moved. He was like stuck to the bottom lane, and here comes Matt DiBenedetto, the overhype, who drives the 21 now, of course, a Ford, came squeezed his way down the bottom, and caused Byron to have a fucking tire rub and ended his chances of getting a solid finish. So he finished 22nd, while Chase finished 26th, a lap down because of that stupid valve stem issue. And Bowman just had, I don't know. But Jimmie Johnson killed it. Like, entire Hendrick group got stage points in both stages. Like, everyone was in the top 10. Chase won both stages. And let me tell you about Chase. First stage win last weekend, very first stage, he won. This race, 2 stages, won both of them. Second one was under caution. And can I say about Denny Hamlin? He's a piece of shit. He was trying way too damn hard. Yeah, I get he's allowed to fight back and stay on the lead lap and whatever, but he was holding everyone up. And I'm like, can you freaking move, please? Just move. It's not hard to move. Just let us pass you. He gives us the most grief all the time. I don't know what it is about Denny and Chase, but they always seem to have issues with each other. Ever since Martinsville, yes, I keep bringing that up because that's a very big factor in his career, on why he's aggressive to this day. It's like, why? But anyway, we won both stages. The positives, he led a shitload of laps. I feel like it was like over 70. I want to say close to 80 laps. I'm not entirely sure. I want to check and see how many laps he led, because I think I can bring that up. Shit, fucking Logano. No one likes you. Like, after all of that, Logano won that damn race. I was like, and shocker, it's sponsored by Pennzoil. Why am I not surprised? But what's weird, these first 2 races and the first 2 races last year, same damn winners, Hamlin and Logano. It's freaking annoying. But what I don't get is Blaney being the points leader. It does not make any sense. But I get it's like based on like his finish is better than Chase's, but it really annoys me. And the surprise, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. How is he running so damn well? He's in not the like high power equipment, but he has Hendrick engine, and he got a top 3 finish. I don't get that. I'm so confused. Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to figure this out. Hello? Trying to figure it out. Hold on. 1 minute, please. Okie dokie. Laps led. Okay. In 2 races, he led 93 laps. And with stage wins, he had 5 total stage wins last season. He's already at 3 in the first 2 races. The new Chevy body, I feel like, is doing marvelous things. Marvelous things. Like, it was so refreshing to see the entire Hendrick group compete, contend, have amazing amount of speed. Jimmie Johnson was like competitive all day long. All day long. He ended up in the top 5, thank God. Austin Dillon came in 4th. There was like 6, I want to say 6, 5 or 6 Chevys in the top 10. That is insane. So, Toyotas weren't really a factor in this race. because it really is not their suited track. Um, Hamlin was having issues all day long. Truex had issues near at the end. He smacked the wall, I believe. Kyle Busch, all the majority of the Toyota drivers had to start from the back because of they got caught doing something with their cars, except for Suarez. So, but overall, that's the best damn mile and a half race I have ever freaking seen. The restarts were crazy, people were aggressive, an unexpected top 10 finishers. Both Dillon brothers got in the top 10. Ty Dillon came in 10th, which is really good, because that's not really a high funded team. They're stemmed off of RCR, obviously, and Dillon with RCR equipment, people are like, oh, he's terrible, he can't drive. And the last 2 weeks he actually had solid finishes. He had finished 12th in the 500, I believe, and 4th this past weekend. Chevys are showing some strength here. The true test next week in California, 2-mile track, so we see how that pans out. Hopefully the rain stays away this time, because qualifying was canceled for Xfinity and Cup Series, so it was all stemmed off of last year's standings, which doesn't make any sense to me. So Busch was never a factor, thank God. But overall, that was the best racing I've ever freaking seen at Vegas. And I've been to both of the fall playoff races in Vegas, and both of them are super good. The second one was kind of went to the night evening, and the cars at night look, if you've never been to a night race, that goes transition to evening, and you don't see those amazing colors under the lights, the cars, and how they just reflect, you've not lived. Insane. But so Chevy, I feel, are gonna kick ass this season. I saw the manufacturer points wise, where they stand right now. Even with a Ford win, we're still ahead of Ford because, or not ahead of Ford, but we're ahead of Toyota, I believe. Toyota or Ford? We're ahead of Toyota because of stage points, stage wins, and whatnot. Because Toyota only got one stage win, but they got the win, and Ford only. I'm so confused. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, we're ahead of Toyota because this past week they didn't get any, hardly any stage points. They have got a stage win since Daytona, and so they're 2 behind the Chevys, who have no wins yet, but they're going to win a lot this year. But where the playoff points will lie after 2 races, Logano is in the top spot, then Blaney. Hamlin, Harvick, then Chase. So Chase is in the top 5 when it comes to playoffs standings. So a lot of Chevys in the top 10. Jenny Johnson so far is in 11th, which I feel it's going to just build from there. Austin Dillon is in 8th. That's incredible. Stenhouse is in 7th. Kyle Larson's in 6th. Bowman 15th. Only get better from there, I feel because he's one of the only drivers really has the best average finish in the last couple years or so on mile and a half tracks, and don't doubt him. Byron's in 21st, but that's just stemming off of being wrecked in Daytona and having a poor finish at Vegas, but he got stage points at Daytona and at Vegas. So, it's funny, Kyle Busch is in 25th. And driver points wise, like in just regular driver points. Kyle Busch is in 27th. Because he wrecked out in Daytona, or had issues in Daytona, and didn't finish. I don't think he finished 14th at Vegas. So his first two races, thank God, were terrible. So there's some surprises in here. Of course, we had Chastain in the mix. What was I doing? I don't remember now. But overall, the first 2 weeks of racing did not disappoint. The outcome of the races were not good. But I feel like the season's going to be exciting with the mile and a half program for the Chevys, and the package overall. Someone was complaining that no one could pass and this and that, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? It was easy for Chase to pass and everyone else to pass. Like, it took so long for Harvick to pass anyone or pass, and I'm like, okay. So, let's not complain about the package. People are still complaining about this damn stage racing and whatnot. So, I'm over it. I finally get to breathe a little bit. Like, work has, like, last night was, I say last night, but early this morning, because I work the midnight shift at my job. And if I ever say where I work, people be like, you're a fan of the so-and-so. I'm like, no, I'm not. But anyway, it got a little, like, it was steady for the most part up until, like, the very end. Someone's like, oh yeah, we'll be done by 4:30, and 4:30 comes and we're still going. And we got hit hard with a bunch of packages in, like, one particular trailer, and and what I don't like is another package handler. So on the same level as me, I think he has, like, some mental issues, but I'm not, like, assuming anything. I'm just thinking that's the case. I'm not hating on him or anything. It was just, I don't like other employees telling me how to do my job, especially like if we're not on the same level of, like, being a package handler and this and that. If you're not my manager, don't tell me how to do my job. This guy was like, oh, like, put these, like, in the middle on the rollers and stack them, and da-da-da. I'm like, and the guy that was helping us was, like, a trainer or whatever or whatnot, or a manager. I don't know what his title is, but he just stood there and he looked at me, and he knew I was like, I was just giving him that look like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of somebody. I'm gonna punch the fucking trailer. So, and he's like, oh, you're gonna scan and this and that, and I'm like, so you're scanning, and I'm like, okay, tell me to scan one more damn time, and he's telling me how to do my job more before I beat the shit out of somebody. Like, I'm gonna beat, not as somebody, but I'm gonna punch a wall. Like, last night, I was exhausted on the way to work. I was on the verge of falling asleep at the wheel, going there and coming back. The manager that was working that night was trying to get me to smile all night. He, like, knows how exhausted I was as soon as I got there. He's like, are you gonna be okay? Do you need a Monster? Like, eventually he got me a Monster, which I'm like, thank you. I chugged the shit out of that thing. It helped. Like, near the end, I was, like, starting to fire off a little bit better. Like, the first couple hours, I was just, like, dragging. He's like, don't stress yourself out tonight and this and that. I'm like, okay. He was, like, one of the nicer, like, not more chill managers that I've worked for. Because they, like, cycle through depending on what day it is. So he got me a Monster and was helping me out a little bit here and there in whatever trailer I needed help in. Like I said, it wasn't really busy until, like, well, I wouldn't say it was busy. It just got, the flow picked up, like, within the last, like, hour or two. So I didn't get out of there until, I didn't clock out until about 5:30. So, tonight I'll be able to get out there by 5 or before 5. because we're starting we have a sunrise shift that comes in right after us from Tuesday to Saturday, and I will understand why they don't have it on Sunday. It drives me nuts, but anyway, keeps me busy. The people there are awesome. The managers, some of the managers are pretty cool. The manager I had this past shift was really cool. He was laid back. We talked again while working. Everyone is we all joke around with each other, give each other shit. Both the managers I worked with last night, oh, Miss Attitude here, you got attitude, and it's don't yell at me. I'm I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. This whole weekend, I got maybe a total of 4 or 5 hours of sleep because I was working, coming home, trying to get a couple hours to 3 hours of sleep, cat sitting from Thursday to today, which I'm done with after today, after this morning actually. So that screwed up my sleep schedule. And today I slept for 4 or 5 hours more. So in total about 6 hours today, 7. And watching my nephews is such a handful because one's almost 4 years old and he's not very verbal, but he said he's very noisy, but makes a lot of noise and stuff like that. But every once in a while you'll hear a word come out of his mouth or whatever. But he's all over the place and whatnot. But from the signs, we believe he's autistic, but we don't truly know yet. So because he's nonverbal for the most part. And then we have an 8-month-old here. My sister has an 8-month-old, and he's become mobile. And by the time, during the day, I'm just not in the mood to chase after him. So I put him in a playpen or a swing so he can sleep and whatnot. So by 8 o'clock at night, I'm just at my wit's end. I'm just irritated. So, but I don't get a true day off from my main current job until Thursday and Friday, and I guarantee I'll be watching the kids. So I'm planning on going to spring training game on Wednesday for the Padres game, and guess who's gonna be there? Austin Dillon's gonna be there, and he's gonna have an autograph session, Q&A, and stuff like that. He's gonna throw out the first pitch, so it's gonna be awesome. I've met Austin Dillon before, I want to say a couple years ago, before they did the whole track configuration and stuff like that, where you can't really get onto pit road anymore without a hot pass, at Phoenix. So after qualifying one day, I got a picture with him. Hold on. Profile pictures. I still need to print out all my pictures from meeting drivers. Here we go. That was from a couple years ago, or at least. Yeah. Almost exactly. A couple years ago. So it was pretty awesome to meet him. I met a handful of drivers. First driver I ever met was Ryan Newman. I've met Kevin Harvick. I met Ryan Blaney. He's such a sweetheart. Of course, my boy Chase. This is one of my favorite pictures right there from the Hooters. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here from the Napa appearance in November. There's other ones. Hold on. Harvick. I met Todd Gilliland at one point. Do I have as a profile picture. So, but but anyway, oh, here we go. Maybe I have a picture here. No? Okay. Da, 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 da. It's a little hectic around here to say that, but I've met Newman, Harvick, William Byron, Todd Gilliland. He's super nice. He's super tall. Horace Chase and Blaney, handful of times. I met Blaney all 3 days one weekend, last season. Austin Dillon. I met Ty Dillon, briefly. I didn't get a picture with him, but I met him. I need to just make I need to print out all my pictures of the drivers I've met so far, and just hang them on my wall, because I have the frames for it. I just need to put them up, because just my life is a hot mess right now. So, I need to stop talking. I've been talking for almost a solid hour. It's 45 minutes now. So, I'm going to get back to putting my laundry away and somewhat declutter my bed and get the trash off of it. So, we're going to California this weekend. I'm not going, but NASCAR is. Only the Xfinity Series and Cup run this weekend. Trucks don't ever run California. So they'll be, next time they run, when do they run next? Okay, hold on. I got email. Hold on. Schedule. Yeah, they don't run again until Atlanta, because they don't run California or Phoenix in the spring. Phoenix in the spring, they don't run. So their next races are Atlanta, and then Homestead, which is weird to say, because usually Homestead's the bookend of the season. But and then Texas and whatever. So they get a couple weeks off. It's just going to be Xfinity and Cup for the next couple weeks, and then I got a email confirming my RSVP. It says, thank you for your RSVP to NASCAR Day and the Austin Dillon event, and da-da-da-da. The address. Phoenix Raceway will have a table outside of Gate B where you can pick up your tickets depending on if you RSVP for yourself or yourself plus one guest. The ticket gates open at 11:30. Please arrive early, because beginning at 12 p.m. Austin will be doing a moderate Q&A with Casey. Oh, Casey Mears going to be there. On the field in front of section 116 next to the Padres dugout. As long as you have your ticket to the game, you can sit in 116 and be a part of the Q&A. Q&A will end around 12:15, or have a table outside of Gate B where you can pick up your ticket or tickets. The Q&A will around 12:15 until 20. The following national anthem, Austin will throw out the first pitch at 1 p.m. After that, you'll get to sit back and take in a beautiful day of Cactus League baseball. Phoenix Raceway show car and Zoom crew will be also out at the game, so be sure to perfect. I love that. So I'm going to see Austin Dillon. So excited. And some Padres baseball, because I love Padres. That's my team. So I'm going to get off of here. It's been an hour of me talking about basically nothing. So I hope you have a good day, good week. If anything else happens that I need
need to talk about or bring up?